Good morning, Dr. Lee, and welcome to our audience here. This is our first episode of Westside.Technology Declassified, and today is October 27th, correct?
It is correct. Yes. Good morning to you, Paul.
2021. So, audience, as you're listening to us, you'll have to deal with our warts as we get going and get things worked out for the first time in this episode. Dr. Lee's been trying for a long time. Oh, there's Bridget in the background. So I'm sure we won't get through an episode without some type of interruption, either from my door or Dr. Lee's door. But Dr. Lee's been trying to get me to get started on kind of an interactive episode of podcasting so that we can have another avenue to communicate out with staff members and teachers and administrators in the district about what's going on with technology in the district. So whereas in the past we've had the Area 66 Declassified name that we've used to send out various specific tech tutorials, this Westside.Technology Declassified, purpose of it is just to kind of share what's going on, allowing us to highlight what we think is important and good to share with you. So our goal in this time is to really focus on trying to keep this at about 20 minutes so it's not too onerous for you to watch. It's probably bad enough to watch us for 3 minutes, let alone 40 minutes. So the middle ground will be about 20 minutes. So Dr. Lee, what do you have to say about our episode this morning?
I think I'm just excited to get going here. A lot of good stuff in store, like you were saying. One of the things that I think I'm looking forward to the most is not only, like you said, kind of get information out there about technology and about Westside, but hopefully in the future actually be able to bring in some guests. And so we can bring some teachers in, some people from within the district and outside of the district, and just let them share their stories. Everybody has expertise. Give them a chance to get on, have hopefully a little stage to to talk about and to share what they know. And so kind of that's the biggest thing I'm looking forward to this. Kind of, I guess, give a rundown of the show just so people kind of know what to expect this week and next week. Yeah, we're going to kind of break it up into a couple different segments. The first segment, we're really going to try to go and just talk about hopefully some announcements, some news, kind of keep people up to date on what's happening with technology at Westside and technology in general. A lot of people have questions. This is one great way for us to answer those questions. And then we'll try to have a discussion where, Dr. Lindgren and I will kind of go back and forth about a topic that, is kind of pertinent for that month. So it might be something like, digital citizenship, classroom management. Maybe it's something to do with the iPads or the network or, just kind of anything that pops up in the news that we can have a little dialogue about. And then we really want to try to, as we go forward, really try to have a spotlight segment during the episode where we bring in a teacher or an administrator or, somebody from the technology team and kind of pick their brain about different issues and let them share what they do. And then we'll kind of wrap it up, and hopefully that's 20 minutes or less.
Now, at certain points along the way, we'll in between segments, we'll kind of take breaks for what we kind of call commercials or promotions, and we won't be, we're not sponsored or won't be having any, official commercials, but our promotions will be of particular resources that we'll kind of do our own informal commercial for to encourage you to make use of some resource that we have made available in the district. So, and what's our first kind of commercial or promotion in this episode, Dr. Lee?
Well, our first one is a website that I really, really enjoy, and it's one that we just were able to roll out this year to staff, and I don't think a lot of people know about it. But that resource here is lynda.com. Paul, have you ever used lynda.com?
I have. I'm kind of interested in app development, and so I have gone through the intro to iOS app development, and I've gone through the intro to Swift development. haven't made a huge amount of use of it yet, but I found those particular courses to be very useful. And I've even downloaded them onto my phone, and then putting my phone out of sight when I'm driving, I will listen just to the audio of those courses sometimes, and found that I picked up quite a bit just from listening to the courses and not just looking at the videos. So
Yeah, I would agree. I was pleasantly surprised with a lot of the different resources that Lynda has on it. You know, a lot of times people think of lynda.com, and if they've heard of it, they probably heard of it from a technical side. You know, like this one here I'm showing now, building a simple app with Xcode and Swift. But really, it has so much more than just technical things on it. I mean, if we look at education and e-learning, they have a whole lesson or a whole course designed around Blackboard. You know, I love making tutorials, Bridget loves making tutorials, but we just can't keep up with all of the changes that are happening. And so Lynda is a great supplement to a lot of the stuff that we do, because they have professionals out there that are constantly making courses and constantly making videos to teach a lot of the stuff that, you know, we know that our teachers want. You know, here we have Blackboard Essentials training, Blackboard training for instructors, and even Blackboard Essential training for students. And so students are able to get on there and take courses. The other one that I found really nice is they do have, you know, teacher professional development courses, courses in instructional design. I know if we look into business, all of the Microsoft apps and Google apps, they have tutorials and lessons already created. I know from experience, you know, Dr. Betts has gone in and used a little bit of the, you know, presentation apps or the presentation courses to be able to go in and create some handouts for people. And Paul, is there something with Lynda that it connects to other services for our staff members?
yeah, certainly you can watch the entirety of a course, but each specific component, either the videos or things like that, you can link into those and watch those individually. As you go through a course, one of the things that you can do is actually add that to your LinkedIn profile. LinkedIn actually purchased lynda.com some time ago, so if you have a LinkedIn account where it shows your endorsements and your capabilities that on your profile, you can add the coursework that you've done in lynda.com, so it'll show up in that profile as well. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I think that's a great feature moving forward. Do you have any resources out there on how staff members and even students can get access to lynda.com?
Sure. If you go to one good way to go to it would be lindgrenchannel.westside.technology, and I just put up a blog post last night that gives the main essentials of getting your account set up in lynda.com and how you and your students could also do that. This would be a good opportunity to mention that any of the links and resources that we mentioned during the course of the show, we will be putting up some show notes that will have all those links available. Where would they be able to get to those show notes afterward?
We'll be having those posted on Area 66.
Okay.
And I would like to just put in a plug for the website here too. area66.westside66.org. On the front page, we do have another link here to now available lynda.com with the information on how to sign up for both staff and students.
Okay. I didn't realize that you guys had done that as well.
Yep. So we have that there too. So lots of different places that people can go to learn how to get access to lynda.com. So a great resource that we hope more and more people will be taking advantage of as the school year goes by.
Dr. Lee, are you watching our time? How far are we into our 20 minutes now?
We're about 8 minutes in.
Okay.
So we're right on track. Try not to make this first episode an hour long, right?
Yes.
So I think the next thing we kind of wanted to talk about was our computers that all of the staff have lots and lots of applications on them by default. And I really think that a lot of people don't know about just some of the actual pro-level, pro-caliber apps that are already on every single computer. And we said we were going to talk about some of the Adobe ones today, right?
Yeah, I think this segment is something that we might do on a month-by-month basis on the different episodes, but I think there's so much software that it's just really unappreciated, or uh, people don't even know that it's there, and it's literally thousands of dollars worth of software that is on each staff machine and on the student machines as well. So we just wanted to focus today on some of the Adobe stuff that allows us to really be creative in a lot of different areas. I know you've done a lot with Adobe Acrobat Pro, Dr. Lee. Do you want to talk about that?
Sure, yeah. And I think maybe before we start on the individual apps, maybe just kind of let's go over the different
Okay.
ones that are there. And I mean, if we take a look here at the different Adobe apps that are installed, there is everything. So like Paul, you mentioned the Adobe Acrobat Pro, one of my favorites, and it works with PDFs. We have, Dreamweaver for web design. We have Adobe Illustrator for creating great graphics. We have InDesign for page layout. And we have Adobe Photoshop, of course, kind of the 500-pound gorilla that everybody really knows for editing photos and graphics. But yeah, so if we start talking about Adobe Acrobat Pro first, it's probably one of my favorite apps that I use almost on a daily basis, even more than Photoshop or any of the other ones, just because Acrobat Pro lets you create interactive PDF documents that you can send out. So all of those fillable forms that you see that you have to fill out, those are all created in Adobe Acrobat Pro. It lets you edit PDFs. So if you have a PDF, that's sent to you and you need to correct a typo or fix something on it, Acrobat Pro lets you do that. Another great thing that Acrobat Pro lets you do is actually convert PDFs back into Word files. So if you have a PDF and you've lost the original and you need to go through and edit it or make changes to it, Acrobat Pro actually lets you take that, turn it into a Word document that you can just edit, make all the changes you want, add graphics to it, and then send it back out as a PDF. And we do actually have some tutorials on Area 66 about creating interactive forms and using Acrobat. But there's another resource that also has them on there, and that would be our good friend Lynda.com, who has several resources about all of these Adobe apps that we're going to mention.
Now, on Lynda.com, just focusing on that Acrobat Pro, they would be showing more about the how-to. On the stuff that you have in Area 66, I think you put it a little bit more in an instructional context, how you can use it for working with your students. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's a great point. And that would probably be the main difference between those two resources is Area 66 is going to be really focused on the instructional side of how to use the apps in the context of Westside and the context of teaching and learning, where Lynda is more of this is how you just use the program. So kind of the technical side of here's how you open it up, here's how you do X and do Y. So yeah, that's a good point. You really want to kind of do both.
It's a good idea to kind of to clarify between the differences between what Lynda has to offer and what you folks have to offer at Area 66. They're not competing with each other. It's just they're complementary. Whereas Lynda is really generic, focused on step 1, step 2, step 3 for all of these different apps. And I think you guys really do a great job of then putting those in the environment of education and in our school district in particular, and just put those in context and allow people to see the purpose of the app in education. So I think that's really cool what you folks do.
Thank you. You want to talk about one of your favorites on here?
Yeah, probably the one I'm most familiar with would be Dreamweaver. And Dreamweaver is a professional level web development environment where basically you can open up a new Dreamweaver file, and it operates very much in a similar way to a word processor, only the purpose of it is to be able to create web pages that could be then put on a website and used on a web server. So I would say that I've described before that Dreamweaver, in one regard, it's so shallow that a gnat could drink out of the pool and use it, but Dreamweaver is also so deep that an elephant could drown in it. It has so much below the surface as far as capabilities of doing JavaScript and PHP and MySQL and very sophisticated Node.js stuff that it's very, very widely used by programming professionals whose job is to create web pages. But we don't want you to be thrown off by that and scared by it. You can open it up and start typing in and dragging in a graphic and make a very simple web page very easily by a student or by you, even if you don't have any experience.
Yeah, I think that's kind of one of the key points on that app is it's immensely complex, but it's also simple enough. Like you said, anybody can make their first web page with it. The other one, I think, just to kind of do a real quick run through of it here, Illustrator and InDesign are kind of two that are very, very pro level, but have a lot of power in there. Illustrator would be one if you're into drawing, into art, into making, graphics for different websites or for publication or brochures and things like that. Illustrator will let you draw those and create them. In fact, our own Area 66 logo here was created in Adobe Illustrator by Bridget. We also have InDesign, which is a page layout program. And so if you've ever wanted to, lay out a yearbook or lay out brochures or make, different print graphics, InDesign is what you would use. And then the last one, just to kind of hit on real quick, I think most people are familiar with Photoshop, but just realize that we do have Photoshop available for all students and all staff that have the MacBooks. And so you have pro-level photo editing, graphics editing right there on your computer, which I think is pretty impressive.
Yeah, excellent. So make sure that we want to make sure that we also kind of remind people that just because an app isn't in your dock doesn't mean that it doesn't exist on your computer. So go ahead and open up your hard drive icon on your desktop and go down and open that up and take a look at the applications folder, and that's where you're going to find all of the Adobe apps there in the applications. So, and any of those that you find that are interesting, just kind of a duh tip, just to remind people that any of those applications, you can just drag that application to your dock, and that application will still stay in your applications folder, but then a shortcut will be made in your dock that you can get to it easily in the future. So
that's a good point. All right, I think kind of one of the things we'd said we wanted to kind of talk about was just to have a little discussion segment where you and I can kind of talk about kind of a topic that has come up recently or something that has been, kind of either gnawing on us or that we're interested in, and we wanted to, share a little bit more. And I think one of the things that recently has been impacting a lot of people is the topic of updates. We always hear, do I do this update or do I not do this update? What updates are good, what updates are bad? And coming from myself and kind of just personally, my philosophy has always been update. I'm always like new things. I like the new shiny. I want to see what we get, when we do an operating system update or an app update. What new features do we have to look forward to? But one of the things that's kind of happened recently, especially maybe not so much at the secondary level, but at the elementary level, is we've started to run into some problems with our updates. And mainly, we have some problems between DRC and testing and Apple in the updates. Do you want to talk a little bit about what we've been seeing here?
Yeah, I may not be as quick to pull the trigger on an update as you are, Matt, but I usually like to let the first day or two settle down to see if there's any screams of anguish from people when they be the first people to run the update. But I do think that it is important whenever we can to go ahead and do updates on our own machines, not just because of the new features that come out, but there are under the hood security things that are important for us to do when we can as well. because of the different security and privacy threats that are out there on the internet. So it is, whenever possible, we do want to go ahead and update when we can. But the problem for us, for our student machines, and that's part of the reason why we ask you, some teachers, to hold back as well, is that DRC and the whole NISA testing, when a new operating system comes out, like for the iPads, iOS 9, they usually don't certify that operating system for at least 3 or sometimes more months before they give approval for that to be used as a supported app in the testing environment. So that's why we have not been taking our student iPads to iOS 9, and because DRC does not support that. And when we start doing NISA testing in the upcoming months, then we could encounter some problems and not be supported by DRC when we run into those problems because of leaping to that iOS 9 app update. So that's our problem, and it really causes us some grief to have to hold back, because talk about a little bit about the app problem that we've encountered with that. And
yeah, I'm along those same lines. So we have the iOS 9 update, which is the system software for the iPads, and I guess on the Mac side too, we have, Apple released El Capitan, late September, early October-ish, and we have the same problem with that, where it'd be nice if we could update, because there are some security features, like you said, and some different features that make life easier, but we do need to hold back. On the app side, so we have the operating system side. On the app side, Apple has just released new versions of Pages, Keynote, and Numbers, and the updates are actually really, really nice. There's a lot of new features that have been added into the apps for both the iPads, the computers, and one of the things I don't think people are really familiar with too much is there's actually iWork on the web. They call it Pages for iCloud, Numbers for iCloud, and Keynote for iCloud. And Apple's made a lot of the features pretty comparable across all of the different platforms. So things that you can do on the computer, you can do on the iPad, and you can do in the web browser for the most part. And so if we look through at some of the new updates here, especially if we look at updates on the Mac, you can see they've brought in a lot of features back. There's been under the hood improvements that kind of speed it up a little bit. All of those old Pages documents that you had that the current version wouldn't open because they were too old, now the new version will open up. On the iPad, they've added a lot more features, and if we take a look at, say, Keynote and what Keynote's done, there's some new templates. They have some new animations, some new charting tools that are in there. An improved presenter layout allows you to draw and use a laser pointer, and a lot of those great tools a lot easier. The problem, though, is when they updated this, only the newer versions of the operating system can run it. And so right now you have to be on either iOS 8.4, which is what we hoped a lot of our people would be at, or iOS 9. And so unfortunately, Apple has it where some of the older versions of the OS won't run these new versions of Pages and Keynote and Numbers. And I would add iMovie. There's a new version of iMovie that's out that adds a lot of great things. It supports some more video formats, makes editing easier, but it only supports the newer operating systems. And so that's one of the things that I know you and I have been trying to work with Apple on, is getting them to understand kind of where we're coming from and being able to try and download at least older versions of those applications onto the iPads that the students have.
Now, in the past, it's worked, hasn't it, where the iPad, for instance, would offer a screen that says, would you like to download the latest compatible version of this app? And we've had that opportunity, but it currently seems to be a problem where it's not offering us that. So that's where we've got some real pain points out in the buildings where didn't have iMovie downloaded previously, and we understand that there's a limited amount of space on the iPads, so we generally encourage people not to download apps until they really need them so that they have space. But after iOS 9 dropped, for instance, on the iPads, now really the only iMovie that's being offered to us is the latest version, and they're not giving us the version that works with our older operating system. So, but we have again been working with Apple. Dr. Lee's been working quite a bit with Apple, and they see our problem, they see our pain, and I believe they're working on a solution. Are they not?
That's what we're told. Hopefully it comes sooner rather than later.
So,
well, I would like to say this has been kind of a good chat here. Just to kind of give a quick little plug about some things that are upcoming. Area66.westside66.org is kind of our home for technology integration help in the district. On there, you'll see that we do have some upcoming technology trainings. And just to kind of give a quick little plug here to ones that we have coming up, you'll notice that the one here, Hooked on iBooks Part 1, is tonight. So if anybody's seeing this today, you're welcome to sign up and come here for Part 1 of learning how to use iBooks Author. Coming up on November 3rd, we have Hooked on iBooks Author Part 2, which will give you a chance to dive deeper into using iBooks Author. And then coming up on November 17th, we have a guest presenter. Dustin Carlson from Rockbrook Elementary will be here presenting on using Seesaw for blogging with students. And so that one should be fun. For all Westside staff members, if you're interested in attending, all you need to do is email Nancy Yount, and she will get you registered. And we look forward to having as many of you as possible to come here and learn about iBooks Author and learn about Seesaw in the next month or so.
Excellent.
Yeah, and so I think here, I think we've covered pretty much everything, haven't we, Dr.
How are we
Lee?
on time, Dr. Lee?
We're about 25 minutes, so pretty close.
We had to get some introductions going. So
yeah,
our goal, I think, is to try to do these episodes about once a month, and I think once a week is a little too much to commit to. But
yeah, I think once a month
maybe
sounds
it'll be
good.
so much fun. We'll start doing it every week. So
definitely.
But thanks a lot. Thanks, Dr. Lee, for pushing and haranguing and forcing me to into this. So I think it was fun.
Yep. I think so too.
And hope you have a good rest of the day. And we just want to hope everybody has a good day today. And make sure you go back to Area 66 and take a look at all the resources. And also a reminder to go and check out lynda.com for both you and your students. So have a great day, and we'll talk to you later.
All right. Thank you.